Okay, so here is another one that we can tackle. There's a lot of things in here that I see we can look at as far as fixing. Number one has to do with these shadows. This was basically because we probably didn't straighten out the underlying blankets, but I don't worry about it. I'm like, as much as it's a pain to do it in Photoshop, it is relatively easy. The next thing that we're going to do is color changing. So we're going to change the color of this to a little bit more green, and we're actually going to change this to match it. So it's going to be more of a monochromatic look. Now, I know some parents may not want to remove this, but I have a feeling that it will either fall off on its own eventually, or I usually ask, and I don't remember if I asked the mom or not, but I will probably remove that just because it's something we don't want to show. So here we are in Camera Raw, and my temperature and my color are fine. I'm not going to change anything. Really, my histogram is great. I'm not clipped on either the highlights or the shadows. We filled the whole histogram. I'm just going to do my color, my profile correction, pull up my masking and my luminance, and that's probably all we're going to do in Camera Raw. And then I'm just going to open this up. So the first thing I am going to do before I do any skin editing is I'm just going to fix the background. So again, I'm going to create a duplicate layer. Now, this is what I was talking about when it comes to the texture of the blanket. So I just can't randomly go in here and start moving it because things don't line up. It just doesn't look as neat. You can tell that you have done stuff to it. So this is where I have to get creative and know what I can use. So I'm going to use the curves tool, and I basically am just going to jack this up. It doesn't matter because you can fix it later. So I'm just going to pull this up quite a bit because I'm going to lighten those shadowy areas. And then I turn the mask black. And then I start at 25. Sometimes I have to pull it up from there to my 50. So these are all 3 pre-brush presets that I've created myself because I know that these are the amounts that I use quite frequently. So I always start with 25 first, and then I kind of pull this up to match the area. And I'm going really super light with my Wacom, which again, highly recommend getting one. It takes some getting used to, but you'll learn you can't live without it. Whoever edited with a mouse is a crazy person. And if I feel like it's too much, you can just pull this down a little bit. And you're going just in the shadow parts. And I'm doing that a little bit. If you feel it's too much, then you just flip it to black and you just kind of erase what you just did. Okay. There's another little bit of a shadow, tiny bit. Dark spot, dark spot, dark spots. I'm just looking for dark spots. Overall, kind of dark. And then I might turn it down just a tiny bit to like 75%. And that's when you just keep messing with this. And then you go back here. Remember, we're going to fix the highlights in just a second. Those are the bright parts. We're just messing with the shadows. Now you do the same thing except you create a curves going down. As dark as you want it to go, doesn't matter. And then you go the opposite direction. Going over just to highlight parts. Where you think it's too dark, pull it down just a little bit. Don't go so much. You can kind of brush it back. It's a little too much for you. Try those highlights. Okay, so that's 10 times better than it was. So at this point in time, I would flatten this. And then because this is blurry enough, it's not showing a pattern in the fabric, I would go in here and I would just patch tool the rest of what we did out. Super simple. Little tiny things right here. I'm going to switch to the spot healing tool. And it is not doing what I want it to do, so I'm just actually going to leave it alone for now. Okay, moving on. So now we're going to change the color of this. So again, we're always going to work with the duplicate. There's several methods to this. First method I use is hue and saturation. So I use this little button up here, and I try to find one that doesn't have a lot of shadows and a lot of highlights, kind of like a mid-tone of the fabric. So like right here would probably be a good area because this is too dark, this is too light, this is kind of like right in the middle. And then I'm going to do a crazy thing, I'm going to jack it up so you can see where this is pulling from. And then these little buttons right here will tell you to what degree the colors are picking up. So we don't want any of this green, so we're going to take some of that out. So I'm just going to move it in until I literally see it grabbing just this turquoisey fabric that we had. If we take it back to 3, it doesn't change anything, or take 0 is what I meant. So now we want it to maybe look a little bit more green, maybe a little less, maybe a little lighter. Take out the saturation a little bit. Lighten it a lot. I like even numbers. I don't like just regular odd numbers, so you'll see me messing with it till it's like 30, 35, 45, some crazy numbers. Okay, so that's good for what we're trying to accomplish here. That was more blue, this is more green. I tend to like it more. Then we're going to go in here and fix this purple, so it's the same method. But because we have two extreme light and dark purples, we might have to do it twice. One for the dark and one for the light. So again, I'm going to zoom in here. We're going to pick probably the darker one first. Picking in between. Highlight it. Ooh, it's picking a lot. So it's going to be tough to narrow it down because that purple is very close to the skin. So you just pull this in. See, now it's not grabbing that purple because we've narrowed it in so much. We need to move it down closer to the purple end. Now it's not highlighting their skin, but maybe we can grab some of that lighter purple at the same time. Let's see if it lets us do that. Nope, we're losing it. So we're going to go back. Okay. Let's see. Okay. That's good enough for now. We'll maybe grab a few more of these strands later once we get it fixed. Pulling it back down. Now I'm going to move it to the color that I want. Maybe the color that goes with it better. So we got it in the green family. Maybe a much lighter green. And this is just totally a preference. Take some of her toes. But what we're doing is we're just going to paint that out 100%. Get rid of that, get rid of that. And we're good to go. Perfect. Okay. I come up here and sometimes I will screenshot it if I kind of see something that I'm like, I might end up changing that later. So I screenshot it or snapshot. So just press this button down here and creates a new snapshot. So that saves what it looks like exactly right now. And then I actually click on that layer. So say we go to flatness and we do a bunch of other stuff and we're like, not really sure I like that. You can go right back to that snapshot and it pulls this back up. So it's as if we're starting over again. So I am going to go ahead and merge it. We're going to finish this up really quick. I'm going to do this in record time. You're going to see me do it. You're going to see me do this over and over and over again. So frequency separation first. Lower frequency. Grabbing the skin. Over the arm. Now she has hair on her arms. I probably will not mess with that. I'll kind of leave it and then I'll fix it using the portraiture. Gaussian blur, that's way too much, so around 25 will work. To select, see if there's anything I need to fix with the spot healing brush. Yep. In there. Wow, those little hairy. I can usually get an edit done in about 4 minutes total. Doing details. Quite passing it. There we go. The patch tool seems to keep the texture, so if you're on a very heavily textured area, I would use the patch tool, otherwise